Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Antiques.
Good morning.
Yeah, wow. We got quite a crew here.
We're bright and shiny this morning, and we're all froze stiff, like little popsicles.
We turned on our extra lights today for the camera, mostly for the heat, though.
Yeah.
It's for the heat.
It's starting to warm up a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's getting up in the 20s now.
Yeah. Well, guys, I noticed we're missing somebody.
Yeah, David had to be with Nancy this morning.
Oh.
She had a surgical procedure yesterday and had a little complication, so they got to go back this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that there was problems, but...
But,
all right, but what are we going to talk about today on Let's Talk Antiques?
We were going to let you pick this today.
How about, how about railroad watches?
All right.
Man, you are really good.
All right.
I'm going to give you an A on that one.
Yeah, how about that?
That's a story that is right at the heart of, right in the middle of my heart here. It's interesting to note that a train wreck actually caused the watch industry to develop more accurate timepieces.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell you about that, and Philip's going to relate that story to you,
Okay.
how it happened.
Now, we have a call coming in. You want me to see if it's for us? I guess Tiffany can't
Sure.
get it over there.
Well, go
But
ahead.
it may be something for us. Who knows? Let's see here.
Go ahead.
You're on. Let's see here. You're on. Let's Talk Antiques.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, some of them old election pins like Al Gore and Clinton, the buttons that you pin on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I found some of them, and I was wondering, it was from their first run for president.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if that would be worth anything.
Yeah, well, they're all really collectible. Philip will look them up real quick for you
I'm
here.
trying to see if I find any.
I think there is a market for that. Now, I don't know.
Oh yeah, everybody collects those old campaign buttons.
I've got a lot of 8 from 1992 Bill Clinton and Al Gore campaign. 8 of those together brought $40. So not a huge amount, but more than you paid for them, probably.
Since they were probably given to you.
Those aren't really
I
sold.
also got about Michael Dukakis and the other guy, one of them. I was wondering if they might be worth something.
Yeah, and actually, the more obscure candidates are worth more.
A lot of times, that's true.
Yes, and regional too, people.
Yeah.
You know, like Gore would be worth more to somebody from Tennessee than he would somebody from another state.
Sorry, it took me a second to remember how to spell Dukakis.
Oh yeah.
That
Don't
was-
ask me.
Election pin. Let's see if we got anything on him. I got a
My mic is
Dukakis
hot
for
today.
Dukakis for President '88 brought $9.31,
I would have thought he brought more than that.
and then a wide one that's a rectangular pin brought $15. So
Those are
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
okay,
Yeah, things like that, you can always go to check eBay.
There you go.
If you got access to a computer, and if you don't, well, go to the library. You can use the one there, but you can find a lot of stuff, a lot of information.
yeah. And there's others that are going for $3 and $8.
Oh, we got another call here. Let's see. You're on Let's Talk Antiques.
Oh, no, I was trying to get swapping shops. Is
Well,
it already off?
It's off. It's from 8 to 9, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, I've got to throw one more in. Here's a Dukakis will do the job of 3 men. Button, and it's Molar and Curly underneath.
Oh, no.
That was a pretty good one.
That's a good
Obviously not put out by the Dukakis campaign.
Probably not. put
And
out
I'd say
by
not. That was probably put out by
Yeah.
the opposition.
Well, we started off, we were going to talk about railroad clocks, or watches,
Watches,
I guess.
We still are.
Yeah, I know, but, I wish you'd have told me this ahead of time. I got one.
Oh, do you
I
really?
I do.
Well,
yeah.
you're going to be blown away by
a
what some of these
real, a
things are
real one,
bringing.
too. My grandfather, my dad's father,
Okay.
was a railroad nut, although he never worked for the railroad.
Oh.
I don't know why he never did, because he loved railroads. Anything to do with, and that's where I got a lot of my collectible stuff from. And I had this pocket watch with a chain on it, you know.
Yes,
And I did some searching on that, and I found out it is the actual railroad watch.
they are really desirable.
And I mean, and it runs to this day. It runs just as nice.
Really?
And it's really strange. You know, you got to take the top or the back off to get into like changing the time. It doesn't have the stem you pull up and all.
Oh.
I think that was the reason they did that was so it wouldn't accidentally get bumped.
Yeah,
Because
well,
the conductor of that train, they ran those railroads right on time, and they left. If the train said it left at 9:02, that's when they pulled out. 9:02. You know.
yeah, a lot of people, they would stop them at the crossings and ask them what time it was,
Right.
Because they knew they would have the right time.
And it's I was surprised. I don't know what Granddad paid for it, but it's worth quite a good bit of
Do
money.
you remember what brand it is?
I want to say Hamilton, but I'd have to go look.
See, 'cause a lot
That's why I said I wish you'd have said.
well, and Philip's going to tell you about this in a minute, but Mr. Ball set the standards for these watches, and
Yeah.
they had to be accurate, so many joules, accurate to 30 seconds a week.
Right.
And if it met all his standards, then they could the companies that made it could sell it as a railroad watch,
Yep.
or they put some in cases with his name on it.
Right.
The ones that actually say Ball watch are
Yeah.
worth a lot more.
There's some of the brands are more, but
But
I was
they
shocked.
all are, they're called, those railroad standards.
right, standard. Uh-huh.
And Philip's going to tell us about this here
All right.
and why that came to be.
On April 19th, 1891, the fast mail train known as Number 4 was coming west on the Lake Shore and Michigan Southern Railroad in Kipton, Ohio. The fast mail was going full speed, with the firemen pouring the coals to the engine firebox. At Elmira, 25 miles from Cleveland, the engineer and conductor of the accommodation were given orders to let the fast mail train pass them at Kipton. Instead, the trains crashed head-on into each other. The engineers of both trains were killed, and the dead bodies of 9 clerks were taken from the kindling wood and broken iron of postal cars, according to the historical account by Ball Watch Company. At a subsequent inquest into the accident, the conductor of the accommodation, which was highballing east, admitted from the time the train left Elmira until it collided with the fast mail in Kipton, he did not take his watch out of his pocket. He said that he supposed the engineer would look out for fast mail number 4. However, that engineer would be fatally misled by a faulty watch. It was later determined the engineer's watch had stopped for 4 minutes and then began running again. The engineer thought he had time to spare, 7 minutes, to reach his meeting point, but he didn't. He had 3 minutes. He did not survive the miscalculation. The conductor, is noted, may have prevented the accident had he looked at his watch, but he didn't. Lakeshore Railroad hired Webster C. Ball, a watchmaker who mandated fortnightly checks on the watches worn by all railroad workers. Ball set strict standards forbidding variations of more than 30 seconds among the watches. The inspections were done only by company-approved watchmakers. By 1883, the railroad industry had agreed, at least among themselves, to divide the nation into 4 time zones. Wow, I didn't know that the railroad was what divided us into
that's what
time
did it,
zones.
yeah.
I knew they standardized time, but not the time zones. In 1891, Ball was given the task to standardize railway times and schedules. By the early 1900s, Ball was a general timekeeper for more than 125,000 miles of track in the United States and Canada. Ball meant business. He demanded higher quality watches. Although most employees had to provide their own watches, Ball only wanted quality timepieces used in the railway business. To accomplish more standardization, a series of 12 requirements for all timepieces used by railroad employees was developed. Immediately cognizant of a market for more precise timekeepers, watchmakers such as E. Howard, Waltham, Elgin, and Hampton, and others began improving their technology to meet the higher standards. Ball's specifications, still used as a guideline today, were simple. They had to be open-faced, size 18 or 16, have a minimum of 17 joules, adjusted to at least 5 positions, keep time accurately to within a gain or loss of only 30 seconds a week, adjusted for temperatures of 34 to 100 degrees, have a double roller steel escape wheel, lever set, micrometric regulator, winding stem at 12 o'clock, grade on back plate, used plain Arabic numbers printed bold and black on a white dial, and have bold black hands. Because the system was adopted, the American watch manufacturers produced a superior railroad watch. The traveling public was assured of increased safety, and indeed the number of railroad accidents occurring as a result of faulty timepieces was minimalized. By 1893, most of the railroad companies, many of whom were vague or had no standards, quickly fell in line with Ball's new formed guidelines. Until then, there were more than 500 American railroad companies, and each one used similar but different rules and specifications. The public sued and followed suits. Perhaps they believed the Ball Watch Company in general. It became accepted that when the average person asked the railroad man the time, he was assured a correct answer. I'll start doing that if I see a railroad man. I'll start asking him the time.
Nowadays, computers right
Yeah, today all those tracks and switches are all computer controlled. There's somebody sitting in somewhere in a big office with cameras, and they know when to switch them and when to turn the signals on. They didn't have that then.
No,
it was all if you could see if you were going down a track, you were an engineer and you looked down, you saw a train coming. You tried to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it was on a turn or the hills or the trees,
Yeah.
and they had a lot of head-on collisions because it was manual. And when they went to the railroad watch, like it says, that was minimized. It still happens, sad to say.
Watches were terribly important back then,
And those were mechanical watches. Today everything, what is it? Digital quartz.
Yeah, quartz. Yeah.
Which quartz vibrates at a certain frequency,
Right.
and it's almost 100% accurate. These were all mechanical, wind up and jewels and great. That one my granddad has. You look inside and the workmanship and the way it's made. You say, how in the world did somebody put this together?
I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Little springs and gears and things flipping around, and it keeps perfect time. It really does to this day. And I would say he probably bought his in the maybe like 1910, 1920. So it's not like these 1800s.
Okay.
It's a newer watch.
Well, no, really, it being that old, that would make it a lot more desirable.
Oh, yeah.
Because it would be something that one of the first generations
Right.
to meet that standard.
But and I was pleasantly surprised when I looked up on the eBay and saw what some of them were selling for. And I said,
they're bringing thousands of dollars.
I think I'll just put this over here.
That's
I'll take better care of it now.
when you want to take it and get it cleaned and polished and put it up in a little case.
Right. Yeah, it's really a nice watch.
Yeah. Well, ironically, the Ball Watch Company didn't make watches. In 1893, the Savvy Ball had contracted with watch companies and others to provide him with watch movements that met the strict standards. He then inserted these movements into high-quality cases that bore the name Ball Watch Companies on the outside. He claimed he would never put his name on a watch case filled with substandard parts. So he was the original, like Walmart, Sears, how they have
Yeah.
And that makes those Ball watches really desirable.
Yeah. Thus began the golden era of the pocket watch. It's where engineering met art, said timepiece specialist Roland Rinkovic at John Morgan Auction in California. A pocket watch was a luxury item, something to flash around back then as well as today. It could cost as much as $300, which is a fortune back then, equivalent to around $10,000 today.
Yeah.
Today, that watch, a circa 1910 E. Howard and Company watch, which is expected to bring $3,000 to $5,000 at auction. Although the provenance of this watch is unknown. It's not hard to imagine the watch with its gold nugget adorned case and heavy chain with nugget links, or the on a wrist of a lucky gold miner or shady card player. Who knows? He says it's probably been sold or traded dozens of times. The all-studded out watch will be among several railroad grade watches to be sold at the December 11th rare and important timepieces from the private collection at John Moran Auctioneers.
Wow.
Do we need to take a break? Is it about that time?
Oh, well, almost. We're getting close.
Okay.
So
Got
there's
maybe a minute or two.
126 watches in that collection that's going to be sold. He said that the collector knew what he was doing. I believe he set a benchmark of quality on what he wanted to collect. I know that he bought some in the 1970s and pretty much through to the 1990s. He picked quality while building his collection. These aren't random buys. He was very knowledgeable in his collection. An early Howard-made watch for Ball and Company, brother of locomotive engineers, dating to 1894. Which was shortly after the adoption of Ball's railroad watch standard, is expected to sell for $2,000 to $4,000. This auction brings together the history of the gold rush and how the railroad pulled the country together. It was a momentous time in America. The hand-picked quality engineering and a sense of history about this collection is very apparent.
Can we take a break right about here?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
we can take
is
a
that
break
a
from
breaking
here.
point? Okay,
Sure.
we'll be right back with more Let's Talk Antiques.
Hello, I'm Pick and Rick T from CFC, best place to get you used auto parts and all types of metals to repurpose for your needs. Just take a drive down 55, see this handsome guy, stop on by. Check out our computer for hundreds of autos to locate the make and the model of the part you need. $2 fee is all you pay. Sign in and get a hand stamp, it's good for all day. Bring in your tools, get the parts you need pulled, and use a wheelbarrow to lighten the load. Pay for your parts, prices you'll be fond of. Each part's price the same, Chevy or Honda. Get exchange warranty for 30 days too. Swap out the parts you don't need for the parts that you do. Happy pick.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
All right, we're going to talk more about railroad watches, pocket watches.
Pocket watches,
yeah.
railroad watches.
Railroad watches.
We've got a couple that they're highlighting that are going to be in this auction, and we'll look up some stuff. In A Tale of Two Cities, Morans will have a circa 1912 E. Howard Watch Company Boston pocket watch with its original mahogany fitted wooden box, original outer card box, an extra mainspring and certificate. I'll get it out here eventually. This new old stock gem is expected to sell at auction for $5,000 to $7,000.
Imagine that.
From San Francisco comes an early J.W. Tucker watch featuring handmade works and a heavy gold chain link set with gold and quartz stones dated from 1850. The pocket watch is estimated at $3,000 to $4,000.
Wow.
A circa 1888 American Waltham Watch Company railroad pocket watch with a white porcelain dial with painted picture of a locomotive and a coal wagon, signed A.W.W. Waltman and Dominion Railways is estimated to sell for $1,000 to $1,500. And the sale will not be restricted to pocket watches. There will be several other high-end wristwatches. So, you know, I mean, I knew that old pocket watches were worth some money, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't realize
the history or the or you know.
No, until I looked
Exactly.
that one I have up, I was shocked. You know, really, I think, well, you know, it's probably worth maybe $100 or something like that. And I didn't realize it was a railroad standard watch. And so I says, I wonder if it runs. So I wound it, and it started running. And I said, how do you set it? Because you can't pull the stem up, you know,
Yeah.
it won't come up. And like I say, I think maybe that was so it didn't accidentally get pulled up and
I see you're right.
change the time on it. and I had to find out that you unscrew the front or unscrew the back, and then you get in and you can
I was
make
gonna say,
adjustments.
how did you find out about the how to do that? Where'd you?
I sat there and looked at it, and I says, "Well, it looks like there's a seam here," so I
Oh wow!
took and I
You
unscrewed.
went for it?
Just trial and error, huh?
And I was afraid I'd break something, you know, but I was real cautious. And then finally I did some research, you know. When all else fails, read the instructions. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
Googled the instructions. But they're different than, the cheap run-of-the-mill pocket watch. You pull the thing up and you can adjust the time, the setting, or you can wind it. See? And
Yeah.
and then, of course, it's got a nice little gold chain. I guess you used to wear a vest, hook the chain
Yeah.
over here, and you had it,
Absolutely.
and you'd pull it out, and you'd look at it and put it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to have to get a vest so I can wear my watch.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we know what to get you for Christmas.
Yeah,
So-
I'll tell you.
Find you one like the old engineers used to wear.
Yeah, cool.
Tug it, too. That'd be
But anyway, but I wish I'd have known. I'd brought it in. You could I'd actually let you touch it.
Oh, would you really? I tell you what, once you figured out what that thing was worth,
Well, yeah.
I bet you changed your mind
Kind
about
of
it,
back
didn't you?
off and say, well, I think instead of putting it in that pile of other junk, I think I'll set it up here on the shelf where it's
yeah,
safe.
give it a
How to
total
reach
spot.
your little kids.
Yeah. Well, I got some eBay prices on some watches
Uh-huh.
Were they
going.
sold?
Oh, these aren't the sold ones. Sorry. That was why I was messing up that other stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, so it is sold. All right, so a Zentler Ferez 18 karat gold minute repeater railroad watch. It's got this nice wooden case that it goes down into so that you don't touch it.
Good looking watch.
They were asking $7,600 and took a best offer on it, but it was probably pretty close around that.
We know it was more than 3,000.
Yeah, and here's the next one is an Elgin National pocket watch, 18 karat solid gold railroad grade, size 18, and it went for
Got a
20.
call coming in.
Oh,
Okay.
it went for $2,800.
Wow. Let's see who we got on the phone line here.
Okay.
You're on Let's Talk Antiques.
Yes, sir. What's a pocket watch worth? It's a pretty old one, I'd say. Not real old, but, about 20, 30, maybe 40 years old. It's got a Confederate flag right in the middle of it, under the numbers,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
What makes something like that be worth?
Do you know what brand it is? Or
No, I hadn't had time to look.
You'd have to give us the brand
that makes
before
all
we
the
can.
difference in the world.
It could make. Yeah.
I'm just wondering what it'd be worth these things that's got that Confederate flag on it.
Well,
everything has some
Yeah,
value, but
yeah.
we knew the brand, or a little bit about it, we could look it up for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you could find that and call us back later, we'll
right,
look it up for you.
Yeah, without the brand or and if it had a number on the
Yeah,
back
model
or something,
number, yeah,
model
too.
number or
'cause
something
there's
like
so
that.
many different ones, and
But probably if it's only about 40 years old, it's probably it might have been a commemorative watch for some reason, which could make it worth a little more. It's hard to say.
yeah, well, if he can find that brand, we can figure out what it is.
I've got a Touchin and Co. company, 18 karat gold split seconds chronograph railroad presentation watch. 34 bids on that went for $2,551.
Wow.
People are spending big money on eBay for watches.
It
Some
sounds
money
like
for a
it.
little pocket watch.
Yeah.
And Illinois 163A Ellenvar railroad pocket watch in amazing condition. Their words.
That's their word.
It looks fine. 16 bids on that, $2,025.
Well, if you compare those prices to like those prices we were looking at, when they were bought, the
Well-
equivalent values, that's probably cheap.
Yeah, and another thing, if you buy a really good watch today, not like a Rolex,
Yeah.
and that's what you're talking about. You're talking about watches that were considered the Rolex of the day.
Of the pocket watch.
And some of those watches are horrendous, and they're just watches. They don't have the history attached to them that a lot of these do.
True.
Yes.
And if you can find one, I would think if you could find one that had, like on the back, presented to such and such for 55 years service
Yeah.
with
Oh,
such and such railroad. Or
That
so-
would make it worth
I
more
bet
to
they,
me.
I bet they even bring more money.
Like
Something like
that when he
that.
was saying was a
Yeah.
presentation watch while
Yeah.
ago.
Here's a Ball Hamilton model 998E. Ellenvar size 16. Official railroad wristwatch. Or not wristwatch, pocket watch, sorry. 14 bids on that went for $1,952.
Yeah.
Do you know what size yours is? Because I don't know the difference between a 16 and an 18. What that
I'm not sure
measurement
about
is.
that either. It's about yay big around, like bigger than a silver dollar, I
Yeah.
guess. But
So probably the
But I don't know.
the
if-
smaller of the things, I guess. But
I don't know. I did not know about. You said size 16 and stuff.
16, 18, and 23 are,
Yeah.
are the numbers.
I don't know
see.
whether they're bigger or littler. You know.
Yeah. I've got a Illinois Sangamo special railroad wristwatch. It's a 23J.
Is that a wristwatch or
23
pocket
jewels.
watch?
Sorry, pocket watch. Did I say
You,
that
you
again?
said wristwatch.
Yeah, you got wristwatches on your brain this morning.
Insert that automatically. With the original case, with the buy it now on that was $1,500.
Yeah.
That's what somebody.
See, I
happened
don't think the railroad watches, any of those were ever wristwatches
No,
because
no,
of the
they're-
chance
Pocket
of getting
watches.
it damaged. See,
Yeah.
they figured the pocket watch would be in a more protective part of your clothing. See,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think they would authorize a conductor or an engineer to have a pocket watch and
Like
run the
have-
train on it.
It's like having a case for your cell phone.
Right? Yeah.
That's your pocket. It's
Right.
your-
Are we about ready for a break?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. We're within a minute.
I get one more. I got an antique ball Waltham, size 16 with 17 jewel pocket watch, Brotherhood of Railroad Trainmen on the back. They were
Union.
there. You go. They were asking $1,800, and they got between $1,400 and $1,500.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah,
bad.
it's really good.
All right.
All right, let's. You want ready? You got a break?
Sure, I'm
All
good.
right, let's take another quick break here, and we'll be back shortly for more Let's Talk Antiques.
Hello, I'm Pick and Rick T from CFC, best place to get you used auto parts and all types of metals to repurpose for your needs. Just take a drive down 55, see this handsome guy, stop on by. Check out our computer for hundreds of autos to locate the make and the model of the part you need. $2 fee is all you pay. Sign in and get a hand stamp, it's good for all day. Bring in your tools, get the parts you need pulled, and use a wheelbarrow to lighten the load. Pay for your parts, prices you'll be fond of. Each part's price the same, Chevy or Honda. Get exchange warranty for 30 days too. Swap out the parts you don't need for the parts that you do. Happy pick.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
All right, we're talking about pocket watches, but railroad pocket watches, right? Which makes it much more valuable and interesting. There's a lot of history here, you know, in these watches.
A lot of history with the railroads.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the story says, they really did unite the country. And, you know, people could go from east to west in good time. You know, and they would travel, could transport our goods from one end of the country to the other.
Well, the highway system wasn't nearly as good as it is today, you know, and the cars and trucks, you know, and the railroads. If it hadn't been for the railroads, things would have been a lot different. And yeah,
I've got a Ball official railroads watch, pocket watch, standard 32J. It's a Montgomery dial watch, gold filled, size 16S. 57 bids on this one.
wow,
Went for $1,392.
a lot of interest. It'd be that many bids.
Well, especially, you know, if it says ball on it, that makes it a little more desirable.
they also might have started with my philosophy of selling things on eBay. If I know it's worth something, I'll start the bidding at a penny.
Oh yeah.
You get more bids.
And then by the time it's made it up to $10, it's got 20 bids on it.
Right, but it really doesn't have the value.
Yeah, then people, see that there's a whole bunch of bids on it, and it kind of. Usually it works. I've been burned a couple of times, but
It's always good to get people bidding against each other.
True.
I bought a picture one time from an auction site, Todd Mueller, and I paid $1,400 for it just because I didn't want the other guy to have it.
I did that once at a live auction. Got into a bidding war with another guy, and it was, of course, and I knew him. That was what was bad about it. I think it was deliberate.
They got a hold of me after the auction and offered me $200 for profit on, and I should just let him have it.
You were mad at him, weren't you? I'll fix you.
All right, we got another that's an Illinois size 17
Uh-huh.
Sangamo special.
Sangamo, huh?
Model 13 railroad pocket watch, white gold, and it's in like a special little holder for a pocket watch. 16 bids on that. It went for $1,312.
Got a call. I see. Well, we got 2 calls. Oh, I guess.
Tiffany's Kitchen.
I just
Yeah.
think he's got 2 calls.
She's.
I've got an antique 23 jewel, size 18,
Uh-huh.
Hamilton 946 railroad pocket watch, circa 1905, and it's got a beautiful shot of the inside of it with all the gold and stuff in it. They were asking $2,100, and they got between $1,200 and $1,300.
That's not gorgeous.
They can't hear
It
your
is
phone call.
Very nice.
Do what? You want this?
They're having trouble hearing your phone call.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got. All right, Hamilton 950B. It's a 23J railroad grade pocket watch, 10 karat gold, 1943 World War II era. That was a $1,200 buy it now.
So somebody jumped all over that.
Oh, oh, no wonder. I'm not used to that button. Thank you.
They're listening because they're all calling.
Oh,
Okay,
That's a
good.
different button.
Well, thank you for turning my.
Oh,
Is that
well,
my microphone?
No
that
wonder
you, got
you
turned
were
off?
so loud. I was wondering why
And,
you were.
and I'm so loud because I
Yeah.
can't hear it.
You
Mine
just
was
locked the
blowing my
door,
ears away on my
keep me
headphones.
out.
Oh, sorry about that, folks.
Right.
Too many buttons.
I
Need a
got
computer to run that.
Yeah,
for
that's
us,
what
too.
I did.
we have a rare antique railroad 23J Hamilton 920 pocket watch,
Uh-huh.
mint condition, recently serviced, and they've got it opened up to where you can see all the mechanics in
I
the
was
back.
thinking, look
of
at all
it.
the parts in
It
that
is
thing.
gorgeous and amazing.
The workmanship is wonderful in those
Yeah.
things. It is. It's just unbelievable.
It's amazing how they do it.
I
you know.
know.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even see them. I couldn't even see inside those things.
Yeah,
And I doubt if they were mass produced. I bet there was a watchmaker that made each one handmade, handcrafted.
I'd say you were right.
it was. So they were asking $1,500, and got between. Oh man, I lost my page. Between $1,300 and $1,150, somewhere around there. But and here's a beautiful one. Here's a antique 18S Railroad 21J Elgin 412 gold pocket watch. It's in the salesman case. So this is in a really shiny case that goes along with it. That was the buy it now, and that was $1,050. So
Somebody jumped all over it.
yes, somebody probably. Here's a vintage 1930 Illinois Bun Special 60-hour railroad pocket watch, 23 jewel set. They were asking $1,400 and got just a hair over $1,000 on that one. Here's a Hamilton 16 size 16 23J pocket watch 950 Ellen Var railroad case. It's a mainliner from the mainliner railroad. They've got it opened up so you can see the mechanics on the back. It's beautiful. 25 bids, $960.
And
So,
clean. I mean,
yeah,
clean
just
that thing.
it is. There's people taking care of these watches, and we've, like I say, we've been going through these for 20 minutes now, and we just broke $1,000
No,
on
they're
them.
still
Yeah.
bringing big money.
They're
So
still-
that tells you these railroad watches, if you have some of them, you need to hold on to them because they're only going to keep going.
Well, you
up
know,
in
a
value.
lot of this stuff kind of gets put into a box of old, I guess you
Sure.
might say old jewelry. It's a shoe box. It's up
Mhm.
in the cupboard, you know, and it was stuff that belonged to grandma and granddad or somebody like that. You might want to, if you're getting, look into that box.
And
And
you
if you
don't
see something like this, you might want to at least check it out.
Yeah.
Have somebody that knows about these items, maybe a good jeweler or a good jewelry shop or watch repair shop. I guess we got
Don't
some
give
in
it
the
to
area.
the grandbaby to chew on.
No,
Don't
because
let
it
kids
might
play
be
with
worth
it.
a lot more than what you think.
Yeah.
And I would say that ones that are
probably
even
is.
in non-running condition are probably worth a
have
lot of money.
value.
And,
Yeah.
and the way these are made, and if you find a good watchmaker, a good watch
Let's see.
repairman, I guess,
Can
they
you-
can fix them.
Is
Yes,
that
Ken.
something that we still have people around that can repair watches around the area? Do you think, or
I bet you in the area, when you say area, yeah, I would say so.
Or the
I don't know
jewelry
about in man. I honestly don't know. I only know the one clock place here in town. I
Okay.
don't know.
Well,
They may have some, access to somebody.
The jewelry stores have places they can
They-
send them
a lot of
to,
times, yeah,
or
they-
they have somebody in the house. You
Yeah.
know.
I think the one in the mall in Tullahoma might the jeweler might.
Mr. Farrell used
might
to
be
work
able to
on
work
them,
on
but he
'em, so.
doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
But
we
I'm
took
not sure.
one to him a few months back, you know, and he said he's on his eyes. He can't do
Well,
it.
yeah, I would
That
say you
giant
have.
magnifying glass isn't big enough anymore.
No,
I know what I know where he's coming from, but you have to have good eyesight and good
Steady
light
hands.
and steady hands,
yeah.
steady
That's
hands. Boy, I'll
my-
tell you.
I've got a big light on my work desk at the house it's a big magnifying glass
Yeah.
with a light, and I still can't see good enough to.
But I would say if you have any watch that says like 21 joules,
Yeah.
it's probably worth money, running or non-running.
Mm-hmm.
Now it may only be worth $10 or $15, but that's probably a lot worth more than what's in the
Yeah.
having in a
And
box.
If, and if it says the ball, what is it? What was the
Look,
exact
if it's
wording?
got the ball on it.
yeah, and
Yeah, if it says ball on it, then that means that was made for the railroad.
So
railroad,
approved by
Approved by him.
by
railroad
them.
standard or whatever they called it.
Yeah, a railroad standard engineered. And that makes it a lot more collectible. So
Okay.
with that, let's see what
We're gonna jump to a new subject of vintage video games and video game machines. So,
That's it.
100 years bump up.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
You got 70s and 80s. I guess 80s probably so.
This is one
Pac-Man.
this is one guy's story about when he was a kid, how he wanted to play these games, and his parents, they just wouldn't buy him what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So it was his little struggle because he was a diehard gamer, and how when he got older, he, got
Okay.
it.
Stop me when we need to break here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
couple
got about 4
minutes.
minutes.
It's a great time to be a retro gamer. Not only is our vintage video game collecting becoming more mainstream than ever, independent companies and programmers are creating hundreds of new homebrew game cartridges for old consoles, such as the Atari 2600 and Nintendo NES game system. Moreover, many companies are producing new versions of the actual hardware. These are systems that are compatible with the original games as well as the aforementioned homebrew games, but you can hook them up to modern TV sets. The latest retro systems announced are the Intellivision Amiga, and the ColecoVision Phoenix. The guy is especially excited about the latter system, which plays ColecoVision games. The ColecoVision, which Coleco released in 1982, is my favorite retro video game console of all time. In fact, it was the first system I owned, he says. During the late 1970s and early 80s, I couldn't afford my own video game console, My family wasn't poor exactly. My dad had a good job at Bell Helicopter, but money always seemed tight, apart from our annual Griswold-like summer vacation, which were, now that I think about it, done on the cheap. What with the Vienna sausages consumed and lack of souvenirs purchases, we rarely splurged on
The Griswolds
luxuries.
were like National Lampoon's vacation.
And there was no way my parents were ever going to fork over the $200 it would have taken to snag an Atari 2600, or the $300 necessary for purchasing an Intellivision. Thus, I spent many a day riding my bike to various console-enhanced friends' homes, thrilling to Combat and Asteroids for the Atari 2600, grooving on baseball, and Speedway Spin-Out Crypto Logic for the Odyssey 2, and marveling over Astro Smash and Star Strike on the Intellivision. Two of my best friends own the obscure Fairchild Channel F. Never heard of that one. And despite as desperate as I was for electronic entertainment, I even enjoyed the little system that couldn't, deriving some measure of pleasure from such odious titles as bowling and tic-tac-toe. There you go. Despite the lack of an honest-to-goodness game console in the Weiss household, my home life wasn't entirely devoid of beeps and bloops, thanks to Mattel's line of handheld electronic games, which began in 1976 with Auto Race, and most notably football, which I did own, and baseball, which was my brother's. At $30 or so a pop, these babies were a little pricey, but relatively affordable, at least as Christmas gifts. Knockoffs were even cheaper, and I remember purchasing an off-brand basketball game at Kmart for $17. But unfortunately, by pressing the shoot button continually as you guided the little red hash mark representing your player down the lane, you could go right through the defense, scoring a basket every single time. Some bargain.
Yeah, $17.
Regarding Christmas, Santa Claus never put gifts under the tree for me totaling more than $100, which is not a complaint, just merely an observation. $100 could purchase quite a bit 40 years ago.
Yep.
And Christmases in our house were lived relatively large, but not large enough to contain a programmable gaming system. Up until the summer 1982, I was fairly content with the vicarious ownership of games and game systems, and I became a regular fixture at a number of gamers' homes within a 10-mile bike radius of my house. In 1982, when Coleco began advertising their next generation ColecoVision, it hit me like a laser beam in the head that sitting on the sidelines playing other people's systems was no longer a viable alternative to owning my own game console.
We about close to a break.
Okay, let me finish this. The
Yeah.
first ColecoVision ad I saw on television was 90% hyperbole, showing a guy standing in an arcade cabinet playing a 3D shooter in which the ships actually flew out of the screen. Even at the tender age of 14, I knew this had little to do with home gaming. I was almost 15 after all. What truly impressed me about the ad was the other 10%, which showed the ColecoVision part of the arcade classic Donkey Kong.
Hello, I'm Pickin' Rick T from CFC, best place to get you used auto parts and all types of metals to repurpose for your needs. Just take a drive down 55, see this handsome guy, stop on by. Check out our computer for hundreds of autos to locate the make and the model of the part you need. $2 fee is all you pay. Sign in and get a hand stamp, it's good for all day. Bring in your tools, get the parts you need pulled, and use a wheelbarrow to lighten the load. Pay for your parts, prices you'll be fond of. Each part's price the same, Chevy or Honda. Get exchange warranty for 30 days too. Swap out the parts you don't need for the parts that you do. Happy pick.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
And I pushed both buttons this time.
All right, well,
And sorry for cutting you off there, but I bumped.
You cut me off, you turned my mic off.
everything.
I'm
It's
sorry.
all over you today.
You're going to have my tires are going to be flat when I leave here or something.
Well,
Phillips entertaining us with a story here.
So what impressed him was that at the last of the commercial, it showed an arcade classic Donkey Kong in action, looking virtually
Donkey Kong. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
to its coin-op counterpart. I have a Donkey Kong cocktail table video game at my house.
Oh, really?
But it doesn't work. And
Oh.
I'm working on getting somebody.
Surely
getting
somebody can
to
fix
work
it
on
for you.
I've got the schematics, but I mean it's
Yeah.
it's a lot of big parts in there that could all be contained on one tiny chip now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
So anyway, so these colorful, detailed, beautifully rendered Donkey Kong screenshots were light years above the blocky imagery associated with the Atari 2600. And television and other previous systems had me at hello, and I simply had to get a ColecoVision, no matter what the literal or figurative cost. The notion of sitting at home on my living room floor playing near-perfect ports of some of my favorite arcade games without having to insert untold numbers of quarters sent my senses soaring. At the Toys R Us near our house, the ColecoVision retailed for $189.99 plus tax, which was around $100 more than Santa was willing to pony up. Stealing one was out of the question since the systems were kept behind the counter.
I thought it was desperate.
So my brain kicked into overdrive, scheming and dreaming of ways to get a ColecoVision. Fortunately, it was summertime, which meant there were plenty of lawns to be mowed, and by season's end I had managed to save up $130, which was enough to give $100 to Santa Claus, i.e. my parents, and still have enough left over to purchase a copy of Mousetrap, which was an even better game than Donkey Kong in terms of arcade emulation. Thus, Christmas of 1982 saw me staying up late at night with my shiny black game system playing Donkey Kong and Mousetrap until my hands and wrists were sore and my eyelids were too heavy to keep open. The next morning I played some more, this time accompanied by a big sugary bowl of breakfast cereal, probably Pink Panther Flakes or Lucky Charms. After Christmas break, with school starting up again, I discovered that several of my friends had received ColecoVisions as well, meaning it was time to get back on my bike and make the rounds, not to play their systems, though two-player gaming was certainly in order, but to borrow their game cartridges that I couldn't afford. Luckily for them and me, the next summer I turned 16, meaning that I could get a job and purchase my own consoles and cartridges. Now, all these years later, I have way too many video games to count, including such modern systems as Xbox 360 and Nintendo Switch. I call it research. However, I still fire up my ColecoVision from time to time, recapturing the glory days of my misspent youth.
Did you see on television the other day there was a big gaming meet
Oh, yeah,
somewhere
they
in
have them
Texas?
all over. This is big,
they
big
were,
business.
Yeah, they were interviewing the man that's young, and he's a younger man, not very old. And he says he said I envision this to be comparable to the NFL or the Major League Baseball or football. And I don't know how many gamers were there, hundreds, and they were playing games and they were competing against one another. And there was a grand prize of like $100 and some thousand.
That's what I was going to say. They're playing for huge money.
Yeah,
And
I didn't realize it had gotten like
Yeah.
that.
there's
I guess
TV
I'm out of
channels
touch with
to
that
go.
stuff.
We've been talking about this over the last several years, just hitting on it.
Uh-huh.
And I see these old consoles as being a really big collectible in the next few years.
Yeah. To me now they don't mean anything, but
Yeah.
to the young people coming up today,
My cousin in his 20s, he'll watch YouTube channels and watch people play video games.
yeah,
And I'm like, really?
And they have
It's like-
how-tos, tell them how
unless-
to
Yeah.
get to certain levels on
Well,
certain games.
Some people look at football like that. They're like, if I'm not playing, I don't want to watch it on TV or golf or something like that. And now it's moved on to video games.
Well, I know my
people will sit around and watch
grandson.
it. Yeah.
One of my grandsons is into gaming real big. And he's playing against people across the country.
Oh yeah, I do that
And
too.
he's even developed a friendship with a couple of them, and they have visited one another.
Oh wow.
I mean, from a game, who would have thought?
These big companies put together these mobile gaming units. They'll be like these huge vans with like
Yeah.
20 chairs in them, and they'll have they'll stop at different areas and let people play against each
Yeah,
other.
it's unbelievable.
Let me run down some
Yeah,
of these, some of this stuff here. So I've got game cartridges, my search on eBay here.
Uh-huh.
And
Now,
I've
this is just the cartridge that goes
well,
in the console.
this is Big Tournament Golf. Super. I can't even tell what this is for. I should probably look that up beforehand. Neo. What is this? My goodness. It's for SNK. I don't even know what system that is. $3,000.
My goodness.
It's sold out of Nashville too.
Wow.
Here's a Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge for Super Nintendo. That one was also Super Nintendo. There you go. $2,349.
Just the cartridge?
Just the cartridge.
For the
now.
cartridge.
Just
Good grief.
Now, here is a
Okay.
1982 Atari 2600 prototype. Lab cartridges and Atari Sunnyvale 2600 6-switch console. So this is a prototype
That
for
would
the
be cool to have
2600
right there.
with a couple of games.
There's not very many
36
of them.
bids for that and sold for $2,027.
Oh, my goodness. We got about 3 minutes to go here,
okay.
or 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, 64 video game cartridges, boxes, and manuals. These look like Super Nintendo. That was a lot of those. 28 bids went for $1,200.
no telling what you end up with.
Yeah.
there.
Here's a prototype of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2 Nintendo NES game. 31 bids on that went for $1,026. Here's a Espal Tiger Vision Atari 400 game cartridge, complete in box and tested. 14 bids, $941.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that whole market
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger all
Yeah.
the
This
time.
is Hatsune Mika Project Diva. This is for the PlayStation Vista, which was wasn't that their handheld thing?
Yeah.
$932 was the buy it now on
You
that one.
think these kids that play this, they're getting older now and they have more disposable income.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, that's what's driving
It's
the
like
market
the Roy
right now.
Rogers stuff. You know,
Exactly,
it's
exactly.
like, yeah.
Got about a minute left on today's program. We want to wrap it up.
I've got a Nintendo Game Boy F1 pole position complete game cartridge with original box. 11 bids, $820. It's just amazing.
And I think our kids had some of those and they got thrown away.
I'm
Probably so, yeah. Or
I'm
sold in
gonna
yard
my,
sales.
it's
for
terrible.
$1.
console I can get
Yeah.
my hands on.
Yep, now might be a good time because there's people that are paying good money for them, but there's a lot of people selling them at yard sales
Now's a
too.
good time to pick them up and
Yeah.
clean them up and
And
hold
maybe
on
next
to them
week
for a
we'll-
while.
Maybe next week we'll talk about yard sales.
Yeah, that'd be good. We ought to talk about that next week. Yard sales
Yeah.
and flea markets.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like we're about out of time, guys.
All right. Well,
So
you can take us
We'll
on.
do it
then.
again next week.
we'll try. Maybe I'll do better next week.
Oh,
I'm
you
getting
done
a
great
little
this
better
week.
on this,
You're really good at it.
All right. See you, folks. See you next week for more Let's Talk Antiques. Same time, same station, same bat channel. What
There you
everybody
go.
used to
Same
say.
bat time, same bat station.
There you go. We'll see you. Bye-bye.